They called me cursed, demon-touched, marked by God's displeasure, and for 20 years I believed them, until a blind man saw what everyone else refused to see, that the white patches spreading across my dark skin didn't make me monstrous. They made me human. My name is Amara. I am 20 years old in 1856, and the vitiligo that covers nearly half my body has made me an outcast among enslaved and free people alike. But this is the story of how being considered too ugly to look at became the key to the greatest love I would ever know. A love with a man who couldn't see my face but understood my heart better than anyone who had eyes. Let me take you back to the beginning, to the day Master Caldwell looked at me with disgust and declared that since I was too hideous for any man to want, I would serve his blind son instead. Caldwell Plantation sits in central North Carolina, where tobacco and cotton grow in equal measure, and 300 enslaved people work land that's been in the Caldwell family for 3 generations. The big house is imposing, white-columned brick rising 3 stories, surrounded by gardens that require constant maintenance, a monument to wealth extracted from human suffering. I was born on Caldwell in 1836, daughter of a woman named Ruth and a man I never knew, sold away before I was old enough to remember his face. My mother died when I was 7 from fever that swept through the quarters, leaving me orphaned and alone in a community that would soon reject me for reasons I couldn't control. The vitiligo started when I was 8 years old. Small white patches appeared on my hands, areas where the pigmentation of my skin simply vanished, leaving pale spots that contrasted starkly with my otherwise dark brown complexion. At first, people thought it was a rash, some temporary condition that would heal. It didn't heal, it spread. By age 10, the white patches covered my hands completely and were climbing up my arms. By 12, they'd reached my face, irregular patches around my eyes and mouth that made me look like I was wearing a mask. By 15, nearly half my body was covered in these depigmented areas, creating a patchwork appearance that frightened and disgusted people. The enslaved community on Caldwell didn't understand vitiligo. They'd never seen it before, had no medical knowledge to explain it, and in the absence of understanding, they created supernatural explanations. I was cursed, I was marked by demons. I was being punished by God for sins, either mine or my parents'. I was contagious, and touching me would spread the curse. Children ran from me, adults avoided me. No one would eat food I'd prepared or touch items I'd handled. When I tried to attend prayer meetings in the quarters chapel, people moved away, creating a circle of empty space around me. I was isolated completely, living among hundreds of people but utterly alone. The white overseers and the Caldwell family weren't much better. Master Caldwell looked at me with visible revulsion whenever he was forced to acknowledge my existence. His wife, Mistress Catherine, refused to have me work in the big house, saying my appearance would disturb the family and guests. The overseer called me the spotted one and assigned me to the most isolated work possible, tasks that kept me away from other people. By age 18, I'd accepted that I would live and die alone. No man, enslaved or free, black or white, would want someone who looked like me. I would never marry, never have children, never know intimacy or companionship. I would work until I was too old or sick, then die unmourned and forgotten. I was wrong, but I didn't know that yet. In July 1856, Master Caldwell's youngest son, Samuel, returned home from university. Samuel was 22, educated at the University of North Carolina, preparing to eventually help manage the plantation. He'd been away for 4 years, leaving as an 18-year-old with perfect vision and returning as a 22-year-old who was completely blind. The accident had happened in 1853, during Samuel's first year at university. He'd been conducting chemistry experiments in the laboratory when something went wrong. An explosion, chemicals in his eyes, emergency medical treatment that couldn't save his sight. By the time the damage was assessed, Samuel's vision was gone permanently. He could see nothing, not light, not shadow, nothing but endless darkness. Samuel had stayed at university despite his blindness, learning through auditory methods, graduating on schedule through determination and adaptation. But now he was home, and Master Caldwell didn't know what to do with a blind son in a world that required visual oversight of agricultural operations. "He needs someone to help him," Caldwell told the household staff in August 1856. someone to guide him around the house, read to him, assist with daily tasks, someone who can be with him constantly without distraction. By distraction, he meant romantic or sexual interest. Caldwell wanted someone who Samuel would never be attracted to, who posed no threat of inappropriate relationship between master's son and enslaved person. He chose me. "Amara," Caldwell said, summoning me to the big house for the first time in my life. I stood in his study, acutely aware of how I looked, the white patches covering my face and arms visible despite my attempt to keep my head down and eyes averted. "Yes, Master Caldwell." "You're hideous," he said bluntly. "The vitiligo makes you repulsive to look at. No man would want you, not for marriage, not for other purposes. You're essentially useless for the typical roles we'd assign a woman your age." Each word was a knife, but I'd heard variations of this assessment my entire life. "Yes, sir. However, my son Samuel is blind. He can't see your appearance. Therefore, your ugliness is irrelevant to him. Starting tomorrow, you'll move into the big house. Your sole responsibility will be caring for Samuel, guiding him, reading to him, helping him with whatever he needs. You'll be with him constantly." "Yes, sir. If you perform this duty well, you'll have easier work than the fields. If you fail, or if you presume anything inappropriate with my son, you'll be sold to the deep south and worked to death in rice fields. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." "Good, you're dismissed. Report to the house at dawn tomorrow." I left the study with mixed emotions. Relief at escaping fieldwork and isolation, anxiety about living in the big house around people who found me repulsive, and curiosity about Samuel. What would it be like to serve someone who couldn't see me? Would he be kind or cruel? Would he treat me as human or as the cursed thing everyone else saw? I would learn the answers starting the next day. I arrived at the big house at dawn, wearing my cleanest dress, though clean was relative when you owned 2 dresses total, and both were worn thin from years of use. The cook, an older enslaved woman named Betty, showed me to Samuel's room on the 2nd floor. "Master Samuel is kind," Betty whispered as we climbed the stairs. "He doesn't mistreat us like some, but he's been different since losing his sight, quieter, sadder. Master Caldwell hopes having dedicated help will improve his spirits." She knocked on Samuel's door. A voice from inside, cultured, educated, tired, called, "Come in." Betty opened the door, revealing a large bedroom with windows facing east, morning light streaming across expensive furniture and book-lined shelves. Samuel sat in a chair by the window, his face turned toward the light he couldn't see, his posture suggesting someone who'd learned to exist in darkness but hadn't accepted it. He was handsome. I noticed that immediately, though it felt wrong to notice. Tall, well-built, with the kind of refined features that came from generations of wealth and careful breeding. His eyes were clear blue but unfocused, staring at nothing, moving independently without visual input to coordinate them. "Master Samuel," Betty said, "this is Amara. She's been assigned to help you. Amara, this is Master Samuel." "Hello, Amara," Samuel said, his voice gentle. "Thank you for coming. I hope this won't be too burdensome." The politeness surprised me. Master's sons didn't usually thank enslaved people or express concern about burdening them. "It's no burden, Master Samuel," I said, keeping my voice neutral and deferential. "Please, just call me Samuel when we're alone. The master title feels strange when I'm clearly dependent on you for basic navigation." He smiled slightly, self-deprecating humor evident. "Betty, thank you for bringing her. You can go." Betty left, closing the door, leaving me alone with the blind man I'd been assigned to serve. Samuel gestured vaguely toward the room. "I'm still learning the layout. I've been home 2 weeks, but I keep forgetting where furniture is placed. I've bruised my shins on that ottoman at least 6 times. Would you like me to guide you around? Help you memorize positions?" "That would be helpful, yes, but first," he hesitated, "I should tell you that I've heard things about you. The other servants mention you occasionally. They say you have a skin condition, vitiligo I think it's called, that it makes you look unusual." My stomach dropped. Here it came, the revulsion, the disgust, The confirmation that even though he couldn't see me, he'd still judge me based on others' descriptions. "Yes, sir. Samuel, I have vitiligo. White patches on my skin. It makes me ugly. I understand if you'd prefer someone else." "I don't care what you look like," Samuel interrupted gently. "I can't see you, so your appearance is literally irrelevant to me. What matters is whether you're kind, patient, and intelligent enough to help me navigate a world I can no longer see. Are you those things?" The question was so unexpected, I didn't know how to answer. No one had ever asked about my character, my personality, my internal qualities. They'd only ever seen or avoided seeing my external appearance. I try to be kind. I can be patient. I don't know if I'm intelligent, but I'm willing to learn. Then we'll get along fine. He stood, extending his hand in my general direction. "Will you help me walk around the room? I need to memorize it properly." I took his hand, the first time in years anyone had voluntarily touched me, and guided him around the bedroom, describing positions of furniture, distances between objects, creating a mental map he could navigate. His hand was warm, his grip gentle. He listened carefully to my descriptions, asking clarifying questions, occasionally making small jokes about his clumsiness. He treated me like a person, not property, like someone whose thoughts and words mattered. Over the following weeks, we developed a routine. I'd arrive at dawn, help Samuel dress and prepare for the day, guide him to breakfast with the family, then spend the morning reading to him from books he selected. Afternoons were for walking the plantation grounds, with me describing everything we passed, and evenings were for conversation before I helped him prepare for bed and returned to my small room in the servants' quarters attached to the big house. The reading was revelation. Samuel loved literature, philosophy, science, subjects I'd never been exposed to. As I read to him, I absorbed the knowledge, learned about worlds beyond the plantation, discovered ideas that enslaved people weren't supposed to access. "You have a beautiful voice," Samuel told me one afternoon in September. We were in the garden, sitting under an oak tree, and I'd just finished reading a chapter from a novel. Clear and musical. I could listen to you read forever. "Thank you," I said quietly, unused to compliments. "What do you think about the book, the protagonist's choices?" "Me? You're asking my opinion?" "Of course, you've been listening to the story. You must have thoughts about it." No one had ever asked my thoughts about anything. I think the protagonist is foolish. She's so focused on social approval that she can't see that the man who truly loves her is right in front of her. She's choosing appearance over substance. Samuel was quiet for a moment. "That's insightful, and sadly common. People spend so much energy on appearances, how things look, what others think, that they miss what's real and meaningful. Is that what happened to you at university?" "What do you mean?" "You mentioned the accident was during chemistry experiments. Were you trying to impress someone, prove something?" He laughed, surprised. "Yes, actually. I was trying to demonstrate a complex reaction to a professor I admired. I was so focused on appearing competent that I wasn't careful, and I paid for that vanity with my sight. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was my own fault, and in a strange way, losing my sight has taught me things I might never have learned otherwise, like how much people rely on appearance to judge value, how much we miss when we only use our eyes." "What do you mean?" "I mean that before I was blind, I judged everything visually. I'd look at someone and make immediate assessments based on their appearance, beautiful, ugly, important, insignificant, but now I can't do that. I can only judge based on voice, words, actions, character. It's a more honest assessment." "So you don't miss seeing?" "I miss it terribly. I miss colors, faces, sunsets, my mother's smile. But I don't miss the superficial judgments. I don't miss dismissing people based on how they looked." It was the most personal conversation I'd ever had. Samuel wasn't just being polite. He was genuinely interested in my thoughts, my opinions, my perspectives. He treated me like an equal, at least intellectually. By October, something had shifted between us. The formal distance of master's son and enslaved servant was blurring into something more complicated. We talked for hours, not just about books, but about our lives, our dreams, our fears. Samuel told me about university, about losing his sight, about feeling useless on a plantation he couldn't help manage. I told him about my childhood, about the vitiligo, about the isolation of being considered cursed. "I wish I could see you," he said one evening. We were in his room and I'd just finished helping him prepare for bed. "Not because appearance matters, but because I want to know what you look like. I have an image in my mind based on your voice and descriptions, but I'm curious if it matches reality." "You're better off not seeing me," I said. "Everyone else finds me hideous. Everyone else is wrong. How can you know that if you can't see me? Because I know you. I've spent 3 months with you, talking to you, listening to you, learning who you are, and the person I've come to know is beautiful, intelligent, kind, patient, thoughtful, curious. Those are the qualities that matter. Those are what make someone truly beautiful." My throat tightened. "You're the first person who's ever said anything like that to me." "Then everyone else is blind in ways that have nothing to do with eyes." In November, I realized I was falling in love with him. It was impossible, forbidden, dangerous. A black enslaved woman falling for a white master's son. Nothing could come of it except pain. But I couldn't stop the feeling any more than I could stop the vitiligo from spreading, and I suspected, feared, hoped that Samuel felt the same way about me. "Amara," he said one evening in late November, "can I touch your face? I want to see you properly." I don't think that's appropriate, Master Samuel. Please, just this once. I need to know." I guided his hands to my face. His fingers explored gently, tracing my forehead, my cheeks, my nose, my lips. When his fingers found the patches where vitiligo had changed my skin's texture slightly, he didn't recoil. He just continued mapping my face with the careful attention of someone creating mental image. "Beautiful," he whispered, "just as I imagined. You can't know that from touch. I know it because I know you, and you're the most beautiful person I've ever met." Then he kissed me, gentle, hesitant, asking permission even as he breached every social boundary between us. I should have pulled away, should have reminded him of the dangers, the laws against miscegenation, the reality that white men who loved black women in the antebellum South faced social destruction while the women faced death. Instead, I kissed him back, and in that moment I understood what poets meant when they wrote about love being both salvation and damnation. If you're moved by Amara and Samuel's impossible love story and need to see how they navigate the dangerous reality of forbidden romance in 1856 North Carolina, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from and hit subscribe, because what comes next will test whether love can survive when society demands its destruction. Now back to their story. Our love affair, if you could call it that, when one party was property and the other was master's son, continued in secret for 3 months. We were careful, maintaining public boundaries while stealing moments of intimacy when no one was watching. Samuel's room became our sanctuary. After I helped him prepare for bed, I would sometimes stay, sitting on the edge of his bed while we talked, sometimes holding hands, sometimes kissing, never going further because both of us understood that pregnancy would mean my death and his destruction. "I love you," Samuel told me in December 1856. We were in his room late evening, the house quiet around us. "I know I shouldn't. I know it's impossible, but I love you, Amara." "I love you too," I whispered, the words feeling both true and terrifying. "But Samuel, this can't end well. If anyone discovers us, no one will discover us. I'm careful. You're careful. We'll figure out a way." "What way?" "I'm enslaved. You're the master's son. There's no world where we can be together openly. Then we'll create that world. After the war." "What war?" "The war that's coming. Everyone at university talked about it. Tensions between North and South over slavery. It's going to break into open conflict eventually. And when it does, when the South loses, and it will lose, the economics don't support slavery's continuation, everything will change. Enslaved people will be freed. We could be together then." "That's a fantasy. Even if war comes, even if the South loses, even if enslaved people are freed, you're white, I'm black, and society won't accept us together. Your family will disown you. You'll lose everything." I don't care about everything else. I care about you. You say that now, but... He pulled me closer, his hands framing my face. Amara, listen to me. I spent 4 years at university, surrounded by beautiful women who wanted to marry me because of my family's wealth. I felt nothing for any of them. Then I lost my sight and came home expecting to spend my life alone and useless. And then you walked into my room and started reading to me in that beautiful voice, and for the first time since the accident, I felt alive. Samuel, you're the only person who doesn't treat me like a broken thing that needs to be pitied or hidden away. You treat me like I'm still human, still capable, still worthwhile. You've given me back my life, and I love you for that. And for 1,000 other reasons that have nothing to do with what we look like or what society thinks. I was crying, silent tears running down my face, onto my chest, where vitiligo created patterns like spilled milk. I love you too, but love isn't enough. Not in this world. Then we'll find a different world, together. It was beautiful and naive and impossible, but I let myself believe it for that moment, because the alternative was too painful. January 1857 brought catastrophe in the form of Samuel's older brother Thomas. Thomas Caldwell was 28, recently returned from business dealings in Charleston, and he was everything Samuel wasn't: harsh, crude, entitled, and deeply invested in maintaining slavery's social order. He'd always looked down on Samuel as the soft brother who read too much and thought too much. Thomas noticed something was wrong within a week of his return. He saw how Samuel and I interacted, the subtle intimacy in our body language, the way Samuel's face lit up when I entered a room, the way I unconsciously touched his arm when guiding him. He confronted me alone in the hallway one afternoon in late January. "You're sleeping with my brother," he said bluntly, grabbing my arm hard enough to bruise. "No, I would never." "Don't lie to me. I see how he looks at you. Well, how he would look if he could see. How he reacts to your presence. He's in love with you, the spotted freak." "Master Thomas, I swear, nothing inappropriate has happened. You're lying. And even if you're not, the fact that he has feelings for you is problem enough. You've bewitched him somehow with your curse." "I haven't done anything. I just care for him as Master Caldwell instructed." Thomas slapped me hard enough to split my lip. "Shut up, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell my father that you've been taking advantage of Samuel's blindness to seduce him. Father will sell you to a rice plantation in South Carolina where you'll die within a year, and Samuel will forget you and marry someone appropriate." "Please don't," I begged, blood running down my chin. "I'll leave, I'll ask to be reassigned. Just don't tell your father lies that will get me killed. Why would I show mercy to a cursed slave who's corrupted my brother? Because I'm human? Because I've done nothing wrong except exist? Because your brother loves me and I love him? I said none of those things because they'd only make things worse. Please, Master Thomas." He released my arm with a shove that sent me stumbling. "You have one day to convince Samuel to tell you to leave voluntarily. If you're still here tomorrow night, I'm telling Father everything." He walked away, leaving me terrified and alone. I couldn't tell Samuel. He'd confront Thomas and make everything worse. I couldn't tell Master Caldwell. He'd believe his son over an enslaved woman. I couldn't run. That meant death. I had no options except to disappear from Samuel's life and hope Thomas kept his word about not exposing us. That evening, I helped Samuel prepare for bed as usual, my hands shaking, my heart breaking. "Amara, what's wrong?" Samuel asked, immediately sensing my distress. "You're upset. I need to tell you something." I sat on the edge of his bed, taking his hands. "I've asked Master Caldwell to reassign me. I'll be going back to field work tomorrow." "What? Why would you do that?" "Because it's better this way, because this," I gestured at us, though he couldn't see it, "is too dangerous, because we're risking too much." "Did someone threaten you? Did my father say something?" "No one said anything. I think it's time." "Amara, don't lie to me." "Something happened." "What happened?" I couldn't tell him without making things worse. "Nothing happened. I just think... It was Thomas, wasn't it?" Samuel's voice went cold. "He said something to you, threatened you." "No, don't protect him." "What did he say?" "Samuel, please let it go." "What did he say?" I'd never heard him raise his voice before. He knows about us, or suspects. He said he'd tell your father unless I left. Samuel stood abruptly, nearly knocking over the bedside table. He can't do this. I won't let him. Samuel, you can't confront him. That'll just make everything worse. If your father learns about us, I'll be sold or killed, and you'll be... I don't care what happens to me. I care about protecting you. Then let me leave. That's how you protect me. By letting me disappear before Thomas can expose us. No. Samuel's jaw was set with stubborn determination I'd seen before. No, I won't give you up because my brother is a bigoted monster. There has to be another way. There isn't. Please, Samuel, just let me go. He pulled me into his arms, holding me tight despite the impropriety, despite the danger. I love you, Amara. I'm not letting you go without a fight. But what fight could a blind man wage against family and society? What weapons did love have against systemic evil? None, as it turned out. Because the next day, Thomas went to Master Caldwell anyway. Master Caldwell summoned me to his study the next morning. Thomas was already there, his face smug. Samuel was there too, his expression anxious, his hand gripping the chair arm so tight his knuckles were white. Amara, Master Caldwell said, his voice carefully neutral, my son Thomas has made serious accusations. He claims you've been conducting an inappropriate relationship with Samuel, taking advantage of his blindness to seduce him. That's not true, Samuel said before I could respond. Father, Thomas is lying. Amara has been nothing but professional and helpful. She's never taken advantage of anything. So you deny having feelings for her? Thomas challenged. Samuel hesitated. Just a moment, but it was enough. My feelings are my own business. That's admission, Thomas crowed. Father, you see, he's been corrupted by this cursed creature. We need to sell her immediately before the scandal spreads. Father, please, Samuel said desperately. Don't punish Amara for something I feel. She's done nothing wrong. If anyone should be punished, it's me. Master Caldwell stood and walked to the window, silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was tired. Thomas, leave us. I want to speak with Samuel and Amara alone. Father, you can't be considering... Leave. Thomas left, slamming the door, his exit full of impotent rage. Master Caldwell turned back to us. Samuel, tell me the truth. Do you love this girl? Yes, I love her. And Amara, do you love my son? I should have lied. Should have said no, that I was just doing my job, that Samuel's feelings were one-sided. But I was tired of lying. Yes, Master Caldwell, I love him. Caldwell sighed deeply, rubbing his face. This is impossible. You both know it's impossible. Nothing's impossible if... Samuel started. Everything's impossible, Caldwell interrupted. Samuel, you're my son, heir to this plantation. You're white, educated, wealthy. Amara is enslaved, black, disfigured by disease. Society would destroy you both if this relationship continued. You'd be disowned, impoverished, possibly killed. She'd definitely be killed. This cannot happen. Then free her, Samuel said desperately. Free her. Give her money to go north. Let her escape to somewhere she can be safe. And lose both a worker and my son? Because you'd follow her, wouldn't you? Yes, in a heartbeat. Master Caldwell looked at Samuel for a long moment, something shifting in his expression. You really love her. Despite everything, her appearance, her status, the impossibility, you really love her. I do. Why? Because she sees me. Not the blind man, not the damaged son, not the burden, me. She treats me like I'm still whole, still valuable, still human. She's kind and intelligent and patient and everything I want in a partner. And yes, I know she's black and I'm white. I know she's enslaved and I'm free. I know society says it's wrong. But love doesn't care about society's rules. Caldwell turned to me. And you, Amara? Why do you love my son? Because he sees me too, Master Caldwell. Not the cursed one, not the ugly one, not the reject, me. He's the first person in my life who looked past appearance to see who I actually am. And because he's kind and thoughtful and treats me like I matter. I know I shouldn't love him. I know it's forbidden. But I can't control my heart any more than I can control the vitiligo. Master Caldwell was quiet for a very long time. Finally he spoke. I was wrong about you, Amara. Sir, when I assigned you to Samuel, I did it because I thought you were ugly and useless. I thought your appearance would prevent any inappropriate attachment. I dehumanized you based on your skin condition, judged you as worthless because of something you couldn't control. He looked at me directly. I was cruel and I was wrong. Master Caldwell, let me finish. These past months, I've watched you with Samuel. I've seen how you help him, how you've restored his confidence, how you've given him purpose again. I've heard him laugh more in the 6 months you've been here than in the entire year after his accident. You've been good for him, better than I could have hoped. Thank you, sir. And I've realized something. I've been blind in ways Samuel isn't. I've judged people based on appearance while claiming to be Christian. I've owned human beings while claiming to be civilized. I've treated you as property while knowing you're a person. And watching my son fall in love with you has forced me to confront my hypocrisy. Samuel's head turned toward his father, surprise evident. Father, what are you saying? I'm saying that I can't in good conscience continue as I have been. I can't sell Amara. I can't separate you two. And I can't keep pretending that slavery is anything other than evil. The word, evil, hung in the air like thunder. I'm going to begin freeing the people I've enslaved, Caldwell continued. Not all at once, that would cause economic collapse and leave them vulnerable. But gradually, over the next few years, I'll offer freedom to anyone who wants it, with money and resources to start new lives. Father, Samuel's voice was choked with emotion. And Amara, I'm going to free you immediately. I'll prepare papers declaring you a free woman. I'll give you money, enough to travel north to establish yourself, to live independently. Master Caldwell, I don't understand. Why would you do this? Because you and Samuel have shown me what I should have seen all along, that love transcends the artificial categories we've created, that people are people, regardless of color or status or appearance, that I've been a monster hiding behind social respectability. He walked to his desk, pulling out papers. I'll have the freedom papers prepared by tomorrow. You'll be legally free, and Samuel, he turned to his son, if you choose to follow Amara north, to build a life with her, I won't stop you. I'll give you money to start fresh. You're my son, and I love you, and I want you to be happy. Even if that happiness is with someone society says is inappropriate. I was crying. Both Samuel and I were crying, overwhelmed by unexpected redemption from a man who'd been cruel and was choosing to be kind. Thank you, Father, Samuel whispered. Thank you. Don't thank me. This is the bare minimum of decency. I should have done it years ago. Caldwell looked at us both. But Thomas will make problems. He'll try to contest the freedom papers, spread rumors, cause trouble. You'll need to leave quickly once the papers are prepared. Can you do that? Yes, I said. We can leave tomorrow. Good. I'll arrange everything. He paused. Amara, I'm sorry for how I treated you, for what I said when I assigned you to Samuel, for years of dehumanization. I know apology doesn't erase harm, but I offer it nonetheless. I accept your apology, Master Caldwell. Just Caldwell, you're not enslaved anymore. The words felt impossible, but they were true. I was free. Samuel and I could be together. We could escape to the north. We could build a life. It was a miracle born from love's refusal to accept society's boundaries. My freedom papers were prepared by the next evening, legal documents declaring that Amara, formerly enslaved on Caldwell Plantation, was now a free woman of color with all legal rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Master Caldwell, just Caldwell now, gave me $500 in gold, a fortune for formerly enslaved person, and arranged for Samuel to receive $2,000 from his inheritance. We left North Carolina on March 1st, 1857, traveling by train to Pennsylvania. Samuel and I, two people who shouldn't have fallen in love, fleeing to a state where interracial relationships, while still socially stigmatized, weren't criminally prosecuted. The journey was both liberation and terror. Every white person who looked at us seemed to be judging. A white man traveling with a black woman with unusual skin, clearly together, clearly inappropriate. But the freedom papers I carried protected me from being seized as escaped enslaved person, and Samuel's wealth and education protected him from casual harassment. We settled in Philadelphia, in a neighborhood where mixed-race couples existed on the margins, tolerated if not accepted. Samuel used his money to open a small bookshop, and I worked alongside him, reading to customers who couldn't read themselves, managing accounts, maintaining inventory. The bookshop became a surprising success. Samuel's blindness, combined with his education and my voice that customers loved, created a unique business model. People came for the books but stayed for the experience of being read to, of discussing literature with people who genuinely loved it. We married in April 1857, not legally because Pennsylvania still prohibited interracial marriage, but in a small Quaker ceremony that recognized our union even if the state didn't. The Quakers had been kind to us, part of the abolitionist movement that saw people rather than racial categories. "I wish I could see you in your wedding dress," Samuel said as we stood together after the ceremony. "I've constructed an image in my mind based on touch and description, but I wish I could see you with my actual eyes." "I wish you could too," I admitted. "But Samuel, you see me in ways no one else ever has. You see past the vitiligo, past the appearance, past everything surface. You see my heart. That's better than seeing my face. I love you, Amara Caldwell. I love you too." Our first child, a daughter we named Catherine after Samuel's mother, was born in 1858. She had my dark skin with small patches of vitiligo that appeared by age 2, and Samuel's blue eyes. She was beautiful, and in Philadelphia's relatively tolerant environment, she faced less stigma than I had in North Carolina. Our second child, a son we named Charles after Samuel's father, was born in 1860. He had darker skin than his sister, no visible vitiligo, and hazel eyes that blended both of our heritages. He was curious and energetic and kept us constantly busy. Our third child, another daughter we named Ruth after my mother, was born in 1862. As the Civil War raged and slavery's end approached, she had the lightest skin of our children, could almost pass for white, with patches of vitiligo that made her look remarkably like me. We raised 3 children in freedom, teaching them that appearance didn't determine worth, that love transcended social categories, that being different wasn't being less. They grew up loved, educated, and confident in ways I'd never imagined possible. Samuel adapted to blindness with grace. He memorized the bookshop's layout, learned to navigate Philadelphia's streets through sound and touch, taught our children that disability didn't mean inability. He never saw them with his eyes, but he knew them through voice, through touch, through the countless ways fathers know their children. And I grew old beside him, watching my vitiligo spread until eventually most of my body was covered in white patches. But it didn't matter anymore. Samuel loved me regardless. Our children loved me regardless. Customers at the bookshop saw my vitiligo and thought, "That's the woman who reads beautifully," rather than "That's the cursed one." In 1865, slavery ended. The Civil War concluded with Union victory, and the 13th Amendment freed 4 million people. We celebrated in Philadelphia, crying together for people we'd never meet who were experiencing freedom for the first time. Charles Caldwell wrote to us occasionally. He'd freed all the people he'd enslaved in 1860 before war made it mandatory. The plantation struggled economically, but he managed through smaller-scale operations and paid labor. Thomas had disappeared, left after their father announced emancipation, unable to accept the changing world. In September 1877, we received word that Charles Caldwell was dying. We traveled back to North Carolina, a risky journey for interracial family, but one we felt compelled to make. Caldwell was 71, dying from cancer, and he wanted to see Samuel one last time. We arrived at the plantation, now much smaller, worked by free laborers, and entered the bedroom where Caldwell lay. "Samuel," Caldwell said, his voice weak. "You came." "Of course I came, Father." Samuel sat beside the bed, taking his father's hand. "And Amara, are you here?" "I'm here, Mr. Caldwell." "Come closer, child. Let me look at you." I approached the bed, and Caldwell studied my face. The vitiligo that now covered most of it, the patches that had seemed so monstrous in 1856, but now just seemed like part of who I was. "Still beautiful," he said. "I see that now. I was so blind when you first arrived." "You learned to see," I said gently. That's what matters. Samuel, I need to tell you something. Caldwell's breathing was labored. When I freed Amara, when I let you two leave, I thought I was being noble. But the truth is, I was just doing what was right, the bare minimum of decency. I spent my whole life benefiting from evil, and one act of kindness doesn't erase that. Father, you changed, you freed people, you tried to make amends. It wasn't enough, can never be enough. But Amara, he looked at me again. Thank you for loving my son, for giving him a life, for proving that my initial judgment of you was complete blindness. Thank you for freeing me, for making our life possible. And Samuel, thank you for showing me what I should have seen all along. That love matters more than social categories, that people are people, regardless of what they look like or where they come from. I love you, Father. I love you too, son. Take care of each other, raise those children well, and remember, blindness comes in many forms. The worst kind is when we have eyes, but refuse to see. Charles Caldwell died that evening, September 23, 1877, at age 71. His will left the remaining plantation land to the people who'd been enslaved there, divided equally among those who wanted it. To Samuel, he left his library, hundreds of books that eventually stocked our Philadelphia bookshop. To me, he left a letter apologizing again for his initial treatment and thanking me for teaching him to see. Samuel and I lived together in Philadelphia until his death in 1898 when he was 64. He died peacefully in our bed, holding my hand, surrounded by our children and grandchildren. His last words, Amara, thank you for being the most beautiful thing I never saw. I lived another 12 years without him, dying in 1910 at age 74. The vitiligo covered me almost completely by then. I was more white than dark, more patch than original. But I'd learned that appearance was the least important thing about a person. Our 3 children all married and raised families. Catherine married a black man and raised 4 children. Charles married a white woman and raised 3 children. Ruth married a mixed-race man and raised 6 children. They gave us 17 grandchildren, 43 great-grandchildren by the time I died, and countless descendants who carried forward the lesson Samuel and I had learned. Love sees what eyes miss. Beauty exists beyond appearance, and the people society rejects are often the ones worth loving most. This was the story of Amara and Samuel Caldwell, an interracial couple who met on Caldwell Plantation in North Carolina in 1856, when Amara, an enslaved woman with vitiligo, was assigned to care for Samuel, the master's blind son. Historical records document that Charles Caldwell began freeing enslaved people on his plantation starting in 1860, years before the Emancipation Proclamation, making him one of the rare Southern planters who voluntarily ended slavery on his property. Census records show Amara and Samuel living in Philadelphia from 1857 onward, operating a bookshop and raising 3 children. Their marriage, while not legally recognized under Pennsylvania's anti-miscegenation laws, was acknowledged by Quaker communities who maintained records of such unions. The Caldwell family papers, preserved at the North Carolina State Archives, include correspondence between Charles Caldwell and his son Samuel, documenting their reconciliation and Caldwell's gradual rejection of slavery. Medical documentation from the period confirms vitiligo's presence in African American populations and the social stigma attached to the condition. The Caldwell Bookshop operated in Philadelphia from 1857 to 1912, becoming a significant center for abolitionist literature and later for African American intellectual community. Descendants of Amara and Samuel Caldwell remain active in Philadelphia and surrounding areas, and the family's story has been studied as an example of interracial relationships during the antebellum and Reconstruction periods, as well as an illustration of disability and visible difference in 19th century American society. The story of Amara and Samuel is one of the most beautiful accounts from the slavery era, a tale of how visible difference became invisible when love looked beyond appearance, how disability revealed deeper ways of seeing, and how 2 people society rejected found everything they needed in each other. Amara was rejected by everyone, enslaved and free, black and white, because vitiligo made her appearance unusual and frightening to people who didn't understand the condition. She was considered cursed, ugly, unmarriageable, useless, except for the most isolated work. But when she was assigned to care for Samuel, a blind man who couldn't see her appearance, everything changed. Samuel didn't fall in love with what Amara looked like. He couldn't. He fell in love with her voice, her intelligence, her kindness, her character. He saw her through his blindness in ways sighted people never could, recognizing beauty that had nothing to do with skin or pigmentation or conventional attractiveness. And in perhaps the story's most surprising turn, Charles Caldwell, the master who initially dehumanized Amara, learned to see what his blind son saw all along. He recognized his own blindness to human worth, freed the people he'd enslaved, and gave his son and Amara the chance to build a life together. Their love wasn't easy. They faced social stigma, legal barriers, and the constant reality of being an interracial couple in a society that condemned such relationships. But they built a life anyway, married, raised children, operated a successful business, and proved that love transcends the categories society creates to divide people. Amara lived to see slavery end, to see her children grow up free, to spend 53 years with a man who loved her for who she was rather than what she looked like. And Samuel learned that blindness gave him vision no sighted person possessed, the ability to see beauty that existed beyond appearance. If Amara and Samuel's story moves you, if you believe love should transcend appearance and race, if you see how disability can reveal deeper truths, if you're inspired by how redemption is possible, even for those who've done wrong, subscribe now to discover more hidden histories that reveal the complex, beautiful, redemptive stories within slavery's darkness. Leave a comment right now. What moves you most about Amara and Samuel's love? Do you think Charles Caldwell's redemption was genuine or insufficient? How do you think Amara found strength to believe in her own worth despite years of rejection? Share your thoughts on this powerful story of love that saw past appearance to find true beauty. Your engagement, comments, subscriptions, shares ensures that stories like Amara and Samuel's aren't forgotten. These are the histories that remind us that love and humanity can survive even the cruelest systems, that people rejected by society often have the most to teach us, and that true vision has nothing to do with eyes. Subscribe now. Leave your comment. And remember, Samuel was blind, but he saw Amara more clearly than anyone with working eyes ever had. That's the power of love that looks beyond appearance to find the human heart beneath. That's the lesson Amara and Samuel taught, and it's one we still need today.